So, Mark, tell me, what is the hell with this about?
Well, it's all about that movie you've always wanted to force your friends to watch, only you and I are doing it on a much larger scale.
So basically, it's a podcast about reaching that point when you just say, you know what, the hell with this. We're going to watch that damn movie finally, and you're just going to have to sit and talk to me about it.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
So we're going to talk about other stuff?
Sure, we'll save the spoiler-free talk for the beginning of each episode because we're not fascists, we're not communists. Some people may not want to sit with us for an entire movie. What are we going to do, force them to watch something?
Well, no, but I still get to force you to watch something with me, right?
Fine.
Has anyone ever told you sound like you're reading from a script?
All the time, pal. I'm sitting way off to the side, though.
Why?
No, I mean, that's...
It's like, why?
It's not deliberate, it's just where I was.
So Mark's hungover today,
Oh, yeah.
and he doesn't want to talk about beer.
No, we're not cheersing at the beginning of this
doesn't-
fucking episode.
I offered him some absinthe, and he just said no.
And then I vomited a little bit in the back of my throat, just like that. No.
Well, just tell me about your night. What was the special occasion?
Special occasion was the rap party on season 3 of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And Ashley did not come with. She had her own thing to go to.
So boys' night, solo boys' night. How come
Well,
I wasn't your plus one, dude?
You know, I guess I felt like when she decided she wasn't going to go, it was sort of close to when I was going to leave. I didn't know I had enough time to ask you.
Yeah. Well, that sucks.
Sorry, man.
You're a shitty friend.
Sorry. But I'm equally
You could have given me 5 minutes notice just so that I could have said, no, I can't, because we had a dinner party to go to anyway.
Okay.
So until 1 in the morning.
You can only get so upset with me.
Playing wonderful card games into the morning. So tell me about the rap party. How was it? Was it fun?
It was a lot of fun.
Did you do any star fucking?
A little bit, but not literally.
A little bit of star fucking. Okay.
A little bit. Like, it was, open bar, of course. They have their little, novelty drinks named after characters on the show. And let's see. I'm not going to go through the order because I can't remember what the hell I drank in what order. But all told, let's see. I had a gin and tonic.
Okay.
A margarita. I had 2 Moscow Mule type drinks.
Okay.
Like ginger beer cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
And 2...
That's a hangover already.
2 PBR tall boys and a shot of whiskey.
Ooh.
So really the 2 tall boys together makes like 3 beers.
I mean, that's water, though. You were basically drinking water on top, so it probably helped you. PBR.
I like PBR. I was showing my Midwestern roots for sure.
I like
tall
PBR, but,
I definitely prefer other beers to PBR.
Isn't that funny how that works, though? That anytime there's an open bar in a like a rap party situation, it's always like that. We haven't had any rap parties for anything. Well, it's so long because usually it's only production.
Yeah, and
at least you have production based in LA. All the shows I'm like a part of are all based in like Baltimore or Pittsburgh.
Yeah, elsewhere. Too far. I've been on some shows like that where we see some of the pictures from the rap party.
And you're like, what the fuck?
But I wanted to.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Production spends like 4 months shooting something, and post-production spends like 8 months cutting it together.
Yeah, dealing with all their fucking bullshit that they shot.
That's right, production. We're talking to you.
No, I told them to their face last night. In a joking manner, of course.
Right, sure.
But yeah, shoot that party. I got home at 2:30 a.m., but I got to the party at 8. So what is that? That's like a 6-hour party. 6 hours of me shouting over the
shouting and
crowd
drinking.
noise and drinking. Yeah,
that's good. Where was it?
It was at a place called the Pikey.
Oh yeah, I know the Pikey.
That place?
Yeah,
man. I don't know how many people total were invited to the party, but my main concern before going was that place is fucking small.
It's well. I assume you guys hung out in the back, in the nightclub area.
I did not realize that they had an outdoor area in the alley. And also a back room. The only pictures they have on Yelp or whatever were of the main room. And I was like, how are they going to fit 200 people in this place? It's going to be a fire hazard.
That's where Orla had her birthday party last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you know it well.
And my other better friend, Matt, came along with me because you were off busy doing and not inviting me to rap parties.
Well, that's because a year ago you didn't invite me to that one.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, I had a sense, but now I know. Thanks for confirming.
We've got like kind of a rap party coming up on Tuesday for Mr. Robot.
Mm-hmm.
Middle of the week, while we're still in the middle of finishing the last episode. The composer of the show has a concert at the Roxy Theater.
Okay.
So I don't know. It seems like most of our team is going to go to that, but I'm not terribly sure what's going on. It starts at like 7:00. You know, our hours go until like 7:38, 9. Mm-hmm. You know, 10.
Yeah, as late as the editors have leave. To. Yeah. I will say last year's rap party for Crazy X was now we got a cat scratching up my speakers. Thanks a lot. Last year's rap party on Crazy X was at the Federal, North Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And that was like
that's cool.
That's a good sized
like
place.
That place.
Yeah, and it was the same deal. Like
big. What now? Is it a private party or is it?
Was it then at the Federal?
Both.
But yeah, private thing.
Okay.
Until I don't know midnight, and then they kind of opened it up
to
last
everybody?
night to everybody because they stopped covering our drinks.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
They were like, "F this."
Yeah, my boss bought me my last drink because
he's like,
they were shutting
because you need
down.
more.
Yeah.
You needed more alcohol.
Yeah, when you start to enjoy the drinking, you've had too much already.
Yeah.
When the tequila starts to taste good.
Well, there's that point in the night where you're like, oh man, I'm so hammered right now, but I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
This might hurt tomorrow. Man, no, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I'll come down okay.
I haven't done any heavy drinking in a long time, so I didn't even think about this morning until I was coming home, and I was like, right. Oh no, this is going to be real bad.
Yeah.
I didn't lose my lunch, though. Everything's cool.
Well, that's good. So you presented a load of movies to me. I had only heard of 2 of them.
Which 2? No, don't say, because we'll save those for later.
Save those for another day. But eventually you ended up flipping a coin between the remaining 2.
Yeah.
And we ended up with a movie that I actually didn't know existed.
And I cannot believe it.
But reminds me, which is amazing considering seeing who directed it up here.
Yeah, the Zuckers.
The Zucker Brothers. And the fact that, I don't know, when I see this, it reminds me of, it just looks like, were they trying to milk the success of Real Genius, or did this come before Real Genius?
I think this came after or around the same time as Real Genius, actually. Like the same year, I'm thinking.
You want to tell people what we're watching?
We're watching, well, they probably know already.
What movie are you trying to get me to like, Mark?
Top Secret.
Exclamation point.
Exclamation point. Stars, Val Kilmer and Peter Cushing in a small role, and who played Alfred in the original Batman movie? Michael G something.
Oh
he's in this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
I can't remember either, but he's in this movie. It's kind of a smaller part, but this movie is it's the same people who made Airplane. And you've seen Airplane, right? I will fucking kill you if you haven't seen Airplane. Airplane.
I said airporn. Yes, I've seen airporn.
So it's that same style of like wacky, zany, Kentucky Fried Movie comedy. Mm-hmm. Like there's 3 jokes happening every
5 seconds, and 1 every 20 jokes will actually stick and hit.
No, I think
otherwise they're just stupid.
I think a lot of it is stupid, but it doesn't mean it's not funny.
I'm sorry, but the best Zucker Brothers movie is still Basketball. I don't care what anyone says.
I already know you don't
Trey
care what
Parker
anybody
and Matt
says.
Stone.
I enjoyed that movie too, but I don't think it's nearly their best. This, I still am stuck on the fact that you've never even heard of this movie because it's like kind of a classic.
Maybe I'm being thrown off by the poster that we were seeing. For some reason,
this is like something they designed in the last few years for the fucking DVD release.
Yeah, Mark's got a collection of the movies that he owns copied to his computer.
Yeah, I ripped the DVDs so I have instant access to them.
And but for some reason, it's got artwork that just does not.
Right,
fit.
like the Plex database. That's the program I use. It just doesn't always get the right thing or the thing that you want. I think you can change it, but I don't know. I don't bother usually.
It's it's nothing I recognize. I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe I have seen this randomly on some 2 a.m.
Maybe some scenes will come back to you, but there are so many quotable lines. Like his. Have you ever heard somebody introduce themselves as chocolate mousse? No?
No.
Okay, well, you will now. You're going to be...
This sounds like the opposite of one of those movies that you hate because everyone else is like, you have never seen this movie? I know you, Mark. I know your inadequacies.
Inadequacies?
I was searching for a word.
My mom says it's the perfect size.
This movie came out in 1984. Does it have any relation
to 1984? Not at all. This is basically a parody of World War II spy movies.
Okay.
Sort of like...
like the Navajo?
What?
The Navajo Codebreakers?
Windtalkers?
I'm not naming
like
something specific. I'm just saying in general. What?
No, think more like Guns of the Navarone.
Okay.
You know that? Or
my grandfather's favorite movie, and I never saw it.
Well, it's pretty good. Or shit, I just lost it. The Great Escape.
Okay.
Did you see that?
No.
God damn, man.
Well, that's why we're doing a podcast. Now you have all these movies you can present to me.
Yeah.
You can force me to watch that I would probably never see otherwise.
I think you're going to enjoy Top Secret, even having not seen those, because it's not like a scary movie thing where it's making fun of a specific moment in pop culture that you have to be familiar with, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. This is just funny, good stuff, but it's like a World War II resistance movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I am seeing on the cast list, the second to last man, his name is Jim Carter. Mm-hmm. Is that not the butler guy from Downton Abbey?
I've never seen Downton Abbey. I know.
Oh, jeez.
I guess you can force me to watch Downton Abbey.
45 hours of Downton Abbey.
But that picture does look like he's dressed up in butler duds.
Yeah. I mean, so many of these people... Wait, this is all beside the point where this is great radio when we're talking about pictures that we're looking at. So tell me, you've still got a cat here. You alluded to it earlier.
Oh, yeah.
This is the mystery cat that was supposed to be adopted weeks ago.
Like about a month ago, I think. Maybe 3 weeks.
Does he still have ringworm?
She does.
And how long will I keep calling it a he?
I guess
it's still a she.
I guess it doesn't matter. She's not offended or anything.
She just sneezed.
Yeah.
She knows we're talking about her.
I guess it's silly when people go like, "Excuse me, my dog is a boy, not a girl." Because how the fuck would anybody else know?
Yeah.
I'm not examining your dog's genitals as soon as I see it.
Those are words I never want to hear out of your mouth again.
But we still have this cat because we're trying to cure the ringworm.
Yeah.
Which takes a lot of anti-fungal creams every day.
Great. I'm still waiting to walk out of here with ringworm.
No, you'll be fine. You're a relatively healthy...
Scabies.
It's not scabies. She doesn't have scabies. If you were elderly, there might be some concern. Or if you were like a baby.
Or if my body was
and I know emotionally,
beat down by playing football the other day.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
As long as you don't rub her ringwormed face on your face directly, I think you'll be fine.
As she walks up behind me.
To do just that.
She's going to knock your speaker off.
No, she's too light for that. The speaker's heavy.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Should we roll this thing?
Well, sure, Mark. Sure.
Let's do it.
Okay.
She knows just what to do. Got a girl named Sue. She knows just what to do. Look, I'm not the first guy who fell in love with a girl he met in a restaurant who then turned out to be the daughter of a kidnapped scientist, only to lose her to a childhood lover who she'd last seen on a deserted island and who turned out 15 years later to be the leader of the French underground.
I know it. It all sounds like some bad movie.
Got a girl named Daisy. She almost drives me crazy. Got a girl named Daisy. She almost drives me crazy. She rocked me to the east, she rocked me to the west, but she's the girl that I love best. So tutti frutti, oh Rudy,
We're old men now.
Yes, we are.
We can't drink like we used to, and you can't play football like you used to.
Nope. Although it's funny, like, I seem to remember when I was living with you, I played football once with the same group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And my body was like hating its life the next day. And yet I feel better now after playing for 3 hours straight than I did back then.
Oh, well, maybe you're more used to it. When you first start anything, of course, it'll be
now that my,
rough.
all my body parts are stretched and broken, maybe I've broken through all the
right. I mean, how much
bullshit.
How much worse could it get, really?
Right. So this movie.
Yeah. You got a couple of big laughs during that movie.
Mark had a sketch pad out, and he was writing down every time I laughed really hard.
Yeah, well, the first one, when the German soldier closes the train doors really hard, and off camera you hear the glass shatter. That was the first time you were just like, ah!
Well, it just seems so ridiculous. That was like the kind of a joke, like, we made the comment afterwards that they probably made that in post-production.
Because they noticed this guy was really slamming those
yeah,
doors.
They might not have even planned it on set. They just thought, they throw in the sound effect. Because you don't see it. You just hear it off screen.
Yeah, but that's why it's funny. If you saw it happen, I don't know if it would be as funny. When they cut away and you just hear it. It's like, oh.
I will say, confirmed, I've never heard of this movie or seen any of it.
God, that's crazy. I used to play on HBO and shit all the time.
Well, I was a poor kid who didn't have HBO until I was older.
Oh, poor you.
Until it was HBO Now.
Which you have and I don't.
Right.
Because I'm poor.
Because now you're poor.
Yeah.
So.
Buying real estate will
do
that.
Ultimately fair.
This was Val Kilmer's first movie I'm seeing.
Oh, wow.
Then he did some TV stuff. He did Top Secret, Real Genius, Top Gun, Willow, The Doors, True Romance,
that seems insane.
Tombstone. Like, that's a really quick...
So he literally went from this movie first to ABC After School Special to Real Genius and Top Gun. Those are his first four projects.
Yeah,
like
that's quite an alarming
That's pretty mind-blowing considering... this guy came out of nowhere, and like at least two of those four are really well-known movies.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I'm just gonna say, in my own little bubble,
it
never punctured my bubble.
I would say most people have at least heard of it, if not seen it.
Yeah.
But this is exactly one of those movies where I make a quote from Top Secret, and people go, "Huh?" And I go, "What? You never seen Top Secret? What the fuck?" That's why I'm showing you.
It's where in the hell did he come from?
I don't know.
Because it's clear, like, he is a movie star in this movie. Like, he clearly...
He's got the
He's
charisma.
got the look. He's got the charisma.
I think he did his own singing in this movie, too.
Well, it certainly didn't sound that way.
No?
No.
I
mean, it was like,
so... to be sure.
Yeah.
It wasn't live singing, but I think it was his voice. Like,
he doesn't look old.
No, he looks like he's 20 years old.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. It's back in the day, like when careers were still kind of started, just kind of like
people could still be discovered
overnight and not have a history of being in short films and shit like they have to now.
Yeah.
Or like into indie films, like gradually building up into a career. But I don't know. For me, this movie, just like all of the Zucker Brother movies, like they all kind of fall into that category of they're better the second and third and fourth time.
Because the more chances you have to see the
other
jokes they're putting
something
in.
Yeah, you pick up more on the stupid shit. And this time I was trying to pay attention to the story, which
the story's not very good.
Which is everywhere. It's all over the place, and it was kind of losing me in that sense because you can keep it funny, and the jokes were actually getting better as the movie went on. But like the story got more and more convoluted, and I was like, well, I have no idea what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Like they're literally running from each new group, and the French guys come in at the end, the mercenaries, and I have no fucking idea.
Well, we were even confused watching it, and I've seen this movie a lot, and I couldn't remember the plot. I described it as a World War II like espionage spy thing.
Yeah.
It's got elements of that, but it appears to be set in 1984 in East Germany. Because they're making references to like electric guitars and rock and roll and stuff, and smashing like heavy metal bands of the 80s did.
Let's point out that you thought this movie was set in World War II.
Yeah, I mean
before we started it.
But now that we've thought about it, it appears to be set in the 80s.
Yeah.
While the Berlin Wall is still up, but the style of the thing, like all the music sounds like it's from the 60s, like it's Beach Boys style music. And all the movies that it's referencing and aping came out in the 40s and 50s, I think.
It's almost like a weirdly timeless movie, to be honest.
Yeah, you can't.
It's like taking, instead of occurring at like one period of time, it's like taking the last 50 years of history and mashing it into one thing.
Exactly, yeah. So it's kind of interesting in that way, but it definitely, it's hard to kind of pinpoint what they were trying to do. I think they really wanted to make an old school, like a parody of those older movies and have it set in that time, but they kind of just, they couldn't get away with the modern jokes and the references.
Yeah.
If they had done that.
The Zucker Brothers have never really been known for great, I don't want to say great movies, but certainly not great stories.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they really are just out there for the slapstick.
It's just a joke delivery mechanism. That's all their movies are, which is fine. Like, I love the Naked Gun movies and Hot Shots and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's just, it's funny to me that they were able to continue making that kind of movie for so long.
Mm-hmm.
What was the last one they made? Because I can't think about any outside of, I mean, I guess there were some Leslie Nielsen ones in the 90s. Was Basketball the last, like...
Let's see here. Director. Scary Movie 3, 4, and 5.
It's wow. Looking at their list, like actually, seems like far less movies than.
I think they've got more producing credits here. But it's still nothing.
Yeah, but that's
mostly the same.
It's mostly slapstick comedies, and it's like their brand.
Mm-hmm. Didn't one of these guys...
Which is fine. It just kind of gets old, and now that you've got more serious audiences, it just doesn't... it just doesn't fly,
Didn't one of these guys direct the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze? I thought the director of that came from like one of these Naked Gun type movies. I thought it was one of the Zucker brothers.
I don't think so.
Yeah, here. Jerry Zucker.
Ghost.
He directed Ghost. That was a fucking Oscar-nominated film.
And okay, Ruthless People was pretty good, too, if I remember correctly.
Is that with Bette Midler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rat Race, 2001. That's his last movie.
Yeah,
so they've kind of been out of it for a while.
I didn't realize that they broke up and directed things separate from each other from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see... was Hot Shots on the other?
Maybe...
Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2, because that's clearly the same style. Maybe they
let me just do a search.
Part of it.
Jim Abrahams.
Oh, okay.
He was the third
and
guy.
He's the producer guy.
Right.
So clearly the three of those, that team of...
Yeah, they split up and did their own thing. But it's all really the same thing. They feel like they're made by the same people.
Right.
All those movies.
Okay, so what... Now, for me, like I said, Basketball is like one of my favorite dumb comedies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's... I quote that movie constantly.
Yeah.
But what about... Like, most people hate that movie. Or they're just like... they just don't get it. Kind of like, I appreciate the comedy elements of this, but it's like I don't understand...
Why it would be a big deal.
Why there's a lasting effect. What about this movie in particular?
I don't know why any movie gets that kind of reaction from an audience over time. Maybe it's because I saw it when I was a kid a lot, and those things have stuck with me. I am really impressed with some of the more technical jokes, like the backwards scene in the book shop.
Yeah.
That was amazing. and funny. Like, they still had visual gags. It wasn't just a scene that was being played backwards.
Right.
It was
So yeah, they walk into a Swedish bookstore, and the joke is that, well, part of the joke is that Peter Cushing is the guy selling the books.
Yeah, and the first shot of him, he's got a magnifying glass up to his eye, which makes his eye look huge, and he lowers it, and his eye is still huge.
It's still huge. Yeah, it's General Tarkin himself.
Yeah.
And Grand Moff Tarkin. Sorry.
Yeah. And they're talking backwards, which makes it sound like they're speaking Swedish.
Hazing. But I don't. They're performing it backwards. Yeah, there's certainly a lot to that. Like, how did we? Let's walk through. Like, how did they determine? In their heads, like what they're supposed to do, and
it's just got to be like
catching the books and throwing the books.
They've probably mapped out the beats over and over again. Yeah. Lots of rehearsal until they got one that was usable. But getting to why I love this movie, I guess I find it very quotable. Maybe I don't quote it around you an awful lot, but I like the line, how do we know he's not Mel Torme? And like I mentioned before, Chocolate Mousse. That's just a really funny name to me. The visual gags are all good. I still like the part at the end when the scientist has been digging his own tunnel to escape prison. He sticks his head in there, and it's like the New Jersey tunnel.
Yeah. Well, what I wonder, like, if it's not like, you think they're actually just showing up on set and kind of like figuring out a lot of these, or you think this is pre-planned, pre-scripted?
A lot of it, I'm sure 90% of it is scripted. And every once in a while they get, because
that's pretty tough, like to get something that's, I mean, I guess if they're working as a team of three, they're probably bouncing these dumb jokes off each other. But then there's got to be moments where they show up on set and they're like, oh well, this thing's in the foreground, well what if it was actually
giant
instead of like forced perspective?
But I don't know, that something like that, they don't just have a giant phone lying around. They had to make that,
right? So
they may have had the idea.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, what's the actor's name? Grand Moff Tarkin.
Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing. Like, he's got like you said, the magnifying glass up to his eye, and it makes his eye look big. And then the moment he removes the magnifying glass, his eye is still huge. Or the guy who's getting his face kind of mashed.
Right. They had to like make that weird makeup to make it still look mashed.
Takes his hand off of his face, and his face is still in the mashed position. Like, stuff like that, or the train gag where the
guy is standing up and he just knocks out the bridge.
Well, that too, yeah. The movie starts with a chase on top of the train, and the bridge is about ready to come and just clobber this Nazi. Well, I guess he's not a Nazi at that point,
right? An East German force member, and the bridge. The guy ducks down as though the bridge will knock out the bad guy, but the bad guy stays up and knocks down the bridge.
Destroys the bridge. Yeah.
But you were talking about the model train?
Yeah,
when they're going through this.
Val Kilmer's like...
No, that's totally scripted.
No, like, well, yeah, now that we're talking it through, it's clear that all these things are, like, clearly...
Yeah.
They had to have planned it. I'm talking about, like, when Val Kilmer's in the train and they're leaving the station.
Oh.
And
the background,
and the background's moving as if they're leaving the station. Yeah, but then the camera goes outside of the train, and you can see that the station is actually
on tracks,
a set on a car, and the car is driving away, and the train hasn't moved yet.
And some guy is running after it like he's about to miss the bus or something.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that one could have potentially just been something they came up with.
Well, they couldn't have come up with that on set though. They had to build the whole set like on the.
But if they didn't have a real train, I mean, that's another way to make it look like you're moving. I guess it'd be easier.
I guess that's true.
I guess it'd be easier to put the train set on a process trailer instead of the whole set on a process trailer.
Right. Well, I don't know. In any case, it strikes me as very smart, pre-calculated humor.
Yeah, they're using every like cinematic trick they can.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, I guess, like a stand-up.
They're twisting your expectations.
A stand-up routine. I was thinking about this today. Like, what is the appeal of stand-up comedy? Like, it's really just scripted comedy. Like, And the best comedy is the kind of comedy that didn't seem like it was scripted. Like it just seems like natural and just kind of comes out. Because if everything felt like it was being relayed to you, it may not be as funny. But
that's why editing is so key in comedy, because if you let certain things sit there too long, it kind of lets the audience go, okay,
the beat's gone.
This is just a movie. It took me out of the moment. But if it keeps coming fast, and I noticed a few slow parts in this movie.
If you let people think about
it too much, it just won't be as funny. You just need to keep the hits coming.
Right.
And that's what these guys excel at.
Right.
They fill the frame with tons of jokes in all their movies.
Do you think that they, given that the last thing they did was Scary Movie 5, do you think that their time has come and gone?
Yeah, I think so. I think as soon as Scary Movie and Not Another Teen Movie or whatever the fuck these things are called, like Epic Movie, as soon as that became the popular thing.
Hey man, Not Another Teen Movie is where we got Captain America from.
He's done other stuff, whatever. I guess I always found those movies to exist only in their place and time. Like they have a shelf life on those movies, unlike there are a few like period references. Like I think that bottle of pop that was poured for him that melted his glass, I think that must have been something that was known at the time.
Right.
I don't know what that is now. But like all the Scary movies, they're good for like maybe 6 months after they're made.
Right.
And then everybody has told that joke and moved on, and they have to make a 5th or 6th Scary Movie to keep up with the times.
Yeah. Well, what inspired these kind of movies? Is it like this one, like you said, kind of has a Casablanca tone to it, and like the
jumping the fence on the motorcycle, that's Great Escape. Being at the airport at the end, and I think the actress here looks a little bit like Ingrid Bergman. Who has done a lot of those types of movies, like
but it has
Cary Grant and shit.
Dr. Strangelove elements to it as well. I felt.
Ooh, where was that?
Just some
like
of the imagery with the Germans. There were just hints. I'm just trying to think where a movie like this comes from. Who inspired the Zucker Brothers to kind of be who they are? Was it, Mel Brooks probably is number one.
Probably. I thought, wasn't their first movie?
I feel like Mel Brooks's movies had similar dumb humor, but not quite as, bam, 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 bam. Just like, again, jokes. Like their movies just have joke after joke after joke.
Right.
Visual joke.
I will say this about Mel Brooks's, at least his, I don't know, more popular ones, the early ones. They had better stories. Like Young Frankenstein has got a great story.
Great story to it. Right.
Blazing Saddle has a fucking great story.
Well, and that's almost what these are missing is that.
Yeah, these have a plot only to carry the jokes.
Mel Brooks his movies didn't really have the same visual jokes.
No, he was not doing a lot of sight gags. It was character.
He was doing some slapstick stuff, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't like every second there was something stupid and stupider and stupider and stupider.
Right. I think he's kind of got that talent for letting a scene build naturally to the jokes. Mm-hmm. And in this one, they're cramming the jokes down your throat.
Right.
Whether you want them or not.
Right. Which almost makes them funnier in the end, because at some point you break.
Yeah. You can't.
You're just like, why am I watching?
It's like having
this?
a staring contest with the movie.
You're laughing at your own stupidity for watching.
Well, there's so much like crass humor. There's like boob jokes and dick jokes. When she's reunited with her long lost boyfriend from the island. She's out of frame. Then she stands up and she's holding the tape measure at 10 inches with her wide eyes.
She's been measuring his penis off screen.
Yeah.
I'm excited to eventually tackle basketball and see. We'll come back to the Zucker Brothers once they.
I've seen it.
Well, that's perfect then, because like we've said, it plays better on the second or third or fourth or fifth time.
Okay. I remember something about Jenny McCarthy sucking all the chrome off a trailer hitch.
That would be the one thing you remember, Mark.
That's the only thing I remember.
I mean, we'll save that for that podcast. So, just giving our audience a fair warning.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're going to do baseball, in like 52 episodes or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not that long, but
Well, now that we've got one of the Zucker's movies, we can't do another one so soon.
Yeah. The one thing this movie made me realize is how little I know about post-World War II Germany. And
that's why it was so hard to tell what you were watching.
East and West, yeah, because for some reason in my mind and in the history books or the history that we were taught over the years, I have very little knowledge of East and West Germany and the Berlin Wall and everything.
Yeah,
that came out of World War II.
I mean, wasn't it just Germany was split in half, basically between the Allies? Russia got East Germany; they made it a communist state.
Typical.
And it was a major thing in the Cold War. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know any more details than that, really. I was never good at history myself. But that's it. They're Germans who are being run by Russia. Mm-hmm. Communist Russia, the USSR. So they were still baddies.
Typical.
Fucking Germans and Russians.
Typical. What else about this movie?
It looks really fucking old.
Now, yeah.
They did not restore it or anything. This is a high def.
It did feel like it was shot in 1975 or something. Especially when you consider that we'd already gotten Return of the Jedi, which actually is a surprisingly sharp looking movie. Mm-hmm. By comparison to the first one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the budget was way lower on this than Return of the Jedi. I don't even know,
but that has nothing to do with the cleanup. I mean, obviously. It was shot on film.
Well, they just got a shitty
so they could
print.
Rescan it, but the opticals are still going to look like garbage.
Yeah, you can see the grain and everything.
Or that shitty optical punch zoom in.
Yeah.
Know, back in the days before they had digital zoom ins, if it wasn't a real zoom, they had to do an optical zoom, which is just...
They magnify the image and
magnifying the film strip.
Yeah.
Refilm it.
So all the grain and all the dirt and all the scratches that are on the film, those also get bigger.
Yeah.
And degrade the image even further. Did you find there was too much music in this movie?
That was the other thing I was gonna bring up. Yeah, it's like a fucking musical.
I could have done without maybe two of those numbers.
There's 5 or 6,
the one
more Val Kilmer
the one in the diner.
Numbers.
Yeah, the one in the diner makes sense because he's trying to prove to his allies that he is not Mel Torme.
Right. But actually, that was the one where I was like, okay. Come on.
It was maybe too much because we had so many already. If they had cut out some of the earlier ones, I wouldn't have missed them.
Yeah, it was
the one when he's trying to commit suicide on stage.
That made me wonder. Okay, what is this movie trying to be? And I think between the Lost kind of plot line, not Lost the TV show, but
They have
throwaway plot.
They have a semi-serious opening scene with all the German officers, explaining what they want to
do and
I have no idea what they were talking about now. It did not stay with me at all.
It seemed like from that it was okay, there's a very clear world-changing event that's going to happen.
The good guys are going to have to stop.
And it went off on this whole weird tangent where you had the
scientist made a giant magnet.
Yeah,
and then they kind of
the French
used it,
not mercenaries, but the resistance.
The resistance. Why are there French resistance people in East Germany?
It's it's a World War II thing.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly. They just wanted to make that kind of movie. It happens to be set in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's all.
So basically, the movie makes a whole lot of sense.
I don't think they really cared. Logic was not on their mind with any of these things. Mm-hmm. They have a guy. They have the dwarf in the resistance jump on a grenade to protect everyone else, but it blows up the rest of the room instead of him.
And they're fine, yeah.
So it's just a joke. It's there's no logic to it. They don't really care what era it's set in. They just wanted to throw in everything they could.
I mean, when you had even
surfing.
Blue Lagoon was basically referenced as well with
that
flashback scenes.
That was that whole plot, yeah.
Like, so it's this movie's basically, this is like a scary movie. Maybe this is like the first time they ever kind of had that kind of like where it's referencing, Not Another Teen Movies, referencing all those teen movies in the 90s, or this seems to be referencing vaguely movies of
the previous
60s and
70s
70s
years,
yeah, all the way back to the 40s, but doing it unbeknownst to itself, I guess, in a way.
There was not a ton of like winking from the movie, like, see what we're doing here? Yeah, this is funny, right? Yeah. Which is what I get a lot of from the scary movies.
First scary movie was all pretty funny, I thought.
I didn't care for it. Maybe I should go and watch it again. The second one was atrocious. And I actually liked the third one, but it was only good that one time.
How have you seen that many?
Of the scary movies? Yes. I think I've even seen the fourth one once.
I don't remember if I think I have seen up to like the third or fourth one, and I just blocked that out of my memory.
I think the fourth one was pretty bad. The second one was the worst. But I guess what I was saying before is like once you watch those movies now, there's nothing really worth going back for.
Right.
Because they're only making it like the one that had the girl from The Ring in it.
Right.
Like they just made a third Ring movie, but it's pretty much out of public consciousness.
I want to know, like, how do these movies make any money now? Like,
yeah, I don't know. Comedies in general, like,
the
why do people go to theaters to watch comedy? Why wouldn't you just wait to get that on DVD?
Well, there are some like experiences of seeing a movie in a theater, and it's just like, especially with a comedy, like, it is better, I think, to see with a crowd.
Sometimes,
like,
sure.
I feel like did we see Waiting?
I didn't see that with you.
Okay, when we saw that in a theater,
I watched it by myself.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, we saw Orla and I saw the Disaster Artist.
Oh, heard good things about that.
And neither one of us have seen The Room.
Me neither.
Nor do I really have any intention on doing so. But you didn't need to, and the movie was hilarious, and having the crowd there actually helped. I don't know. You enjoy a movie more, I think, if you've got the human experience happening around you, Mark. I realize that you hate people in general, but occasionally you have to open your heart and let other people in.
When people make noises in the theater, I want to be the guy to tell them to shut the fuck up.
Well, there's that.
And that includes the laughter of small babes.
But that's why I go to, our unofficial sponsor, ArcLight, and watch movies there, because typically people don't talk.
Yeah.
And
when you're paying that much for a movie ticket,
hit them in the face.
Yeah. Or you go get the usher guy and get them to hit this person in the face too.
Yeah. Any last parting thoughts on this movie?
I don't know.
Is this your favorite Zucker Brothers movie?
I think maybe the Naked Gun movies might be
more than Airplane.
Yeah. Airplane is really funny. I think it deserves every bit of praise it gets, but I just like the parody of the cop story. Like the Police Squad TV show. That was all really funny, and it was sort of ahead of its time. It got canceled after 6 episodes or something. I don't know. There's something about that form of this kind of humor that I dig a lot more. Hot Shots, I think, is pretty good.
Yeah. I still remember not having any idea what that movie was, Hot Shots. I remember being in Phoenix, Arizona, or something like that in the 80s, and seeing a poster on the wall in the mall that said, "Prepare yourself for the greatest movie of all time." And
they weren't holding back on the advertising.
It didn't say what the movie was, but it had
like Charlie Sheen.
It had a picture, I think, of Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, and they bomb him at the end of the movie, so that was a real rah rah movie.
Did that come? I mean, it must have come after the first War.
I think it was coming right at the tail end because Hot Shots Part 2, that still had Saddam Hussein in it. And that was a few years later.
Yeah. I just remember, I feel like it was earlier in the 80s, but I guess not.
Funny thing, the guy who plays Saddam Hussein in those movies also plays Saddam Hussein in The Big Lebowski in the dream sequence when he's working at the bowling alley.
That's amazing. Yeah, anyway, that's just an aside, but that's just my first real memory of, well, outside of having a crush on, oh God, what's her name, in Naked Gun.
Priscilla
Presley at the time, yeah. That I couldn't explain at the time.
I find all of these movies are very quotable. Like in Hot Shots, there's like a really unlucky character. Bad shit just keeps happening to him the whole movie.
Right, yeah.
And then he's being wheeled down a hospital hallway towards an ER or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And he's telling his wife or his friends, like, don't worry, we're in a hospital. What could go wrong? And then he gets like thrown out a window somehow. So I'm always saying like, we're in a fill in the blank. What could go wrong? I like in The Naked Gun, she's cooking a pot roast or something on the stove. And she turns to Frank, who just busted in thinking his apartment was broken into. How hot and wet do you like it? Because she picks up this like wet meat thing. And he says, very hot and awfully wet. That's a good line.
Oh, Leslie Nielsen.
And I like Naked Gun 33 1/3 because it's got all the Hollywood jokes. Like there's a bomb at the Academy Awards. And it's got Anna Nicole Smith, who's in like really funny in that movie. I don't think she's like good for anything, but she's really funny in that movie.
Well, she's dead now, Mark,
I know
so
she's dead now. I can say whatever I want
anymore.
But there's a line in that movie. There's a scene in prison, and a big like muscular black guy. He's in prison and he goes like, "Prison can change a man. I used to be white."
Oh my God. I'm trying to remember some other things that happened in those movies. It's been so long since I've seen the Naked Gun movies. Some reason they're intertwined with Florida for me.
Why?
Just because I was visiting family, and I remember we sat and watched like all of the Naked Gun movies at the time. I don't think I've ever seen 33 1/3.
Oh my God.
I know.
Okay, well that's gonna be coming up later too.
Great. Yeah, we'll just skip the first two because I don't remember them either.
Yeah, the story is so important with
Was
the Naked
that
Gun
before or
movies.
after OJ kind of went off the deep end? Because it says 94. When did OJ? I guess, well, OJ was like much later. That was like 97, 96.
Yeah, I think he was still in this one.
Yeah, he had to have been because...
O.J. Simpson
Yeah.
as Nordberg.
Nordberg. And Fred Ward, your favorite.
Yeah, another Fred Ward movie. I guess I really don't have much else to say about Top Secret, but if you haven't seen it, you should make it a point. I think it's got some brilliant jokes in there. Don't come for the story, just come for the jokes.
Yeah.
And then
I
keep
mean, I would
coming.
agree with that. I would say it's a 6 out of 10. That's my personal
Oh, okay.
rating.
That's pretty low.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well,
I give it a 9.
I'm not going to give it a 7. You gave it a 9 out of 10?
I think it's that funny.
Damn. As for on the humor the humor failure, the humor factor, potentially.
But if you kind of ignore...
It's got to be story and everything else.
It doesn't fully come together for you.
No.
Yeah.
It comes together at a 6.
I guess I agree. It does not come together, but I don't care.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Touche. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's sign off then. My name is Mark Heiliger.
I am Peter Chad Phillip.
Say that again.
Philip Peter Chad.
Well, we'll figure it out one day.
One of these days I'll figure my name out.
And we're on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes, I'm usually at Chad Peter.
And I am at Mark Heiliger, and I'm not going to tell you how to spell it.
Yeah. So go fuck yourselves.
That's my general attitude about everything these days.